In dark places where our normal world seems less real, three ordinary people's lives change forever because of strange meetings they can't explain. These aren't made-up stories, but real accounts from people whose understanding of our world was suddenly taken away. They are changed in ways only they truly understand. Welcome to Tales to Scare You.
The night I disappeared for 2 hours changed me forever, but it started like any other night at the Falcon Tavern where I work. The heavy door swings shut behind the last customer, and I turn down the loud music. I love this moment when the busy bar becomes quiet. I've been pouring drinks all night for people who probably won't remember my name tomorrow. The beer signs shine blue and red light across the bar where Hector is looking at receipts. He looks tired from doing end-of-month paperwork. "I can't drive you home tonight with all this paperwork I have to do," he says, pointing at the mess in front of him. "Will you be okay walking?" I look at the dark windows. Something feels different tonight, but I can't say why. Still, I've walked home many times before. "Yeah, I'll be good. It's a warm summer night, and the stars will look amazing," I say with fake cheerfulness, trying to ignore the weird feeling in my stomach as I clean up the bottles and glasses. I put chairs upside down on tables so I can sweep the floor. With the music quieter and no customers to serve, I think about my personal life. I had a fight with my girlfriend over what I think is stupid stuff, and it's making me feel bad. So I start thinking about my trip to Prospect Mountain, where I'll hike some trails during my day off. When I finish cleaning, I get ready to leave. I give Hector our usual fist bump and walk out into the night, looking back one more time to make sure I didn't forget anything. My bartender job on the edge of Lake George is perfect. I can sleep late, and it's close enough to walk to the apartment I share with my girlfriend. As I thought, the back road I take as a shortcut is empty of cars at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday. There are no houses, only fields of tall grass on both sides. The night sky is full of stars, and the full moon peeks out from behind the only cloud in the sky. The sound of crickets and the smell of plants put me in a trance. Sometimes I hear rustling in the bushes along the road and guess it's probably a raccoon or possum looking for food. I notice how my sneakers hitting the pavement match the sound of my breathing. The rustling, chirps, breathing, and footsteps make a special kind of music that you only hear when the time, place, and season are just right. Then I notice the night noises are gone. Even the sounds of my footsteps and breathing have disappeared. As I stop to look around, I glance up into the night sky. There, I see a strange object floating about 200 feet above the ground. It's a dark circle the size of a 2-story house with white, purple, and green flashing lights. "What in the world is that?" I ask out loud. No matter how long I stare, I can't figure it out. With each second that passes, my heart beats faster. I quickly think about all the aircraft and helicopters I've ever seen, but nothing makes sense. I don't know any aircraft that's shaped like a circle, has these colored lights, and makes no sound while hovering so close to Earth. A bright beam of bluish-white light appears and blinds me. My feet lift off the ground as I raise my hand to shield my eyes. I float upward and become more paralyzed the closer I get to the object. I can't even blink. A machine sound fills the air. I think it's the device that's lifting me so easily. The only thing I can feel is my heart pounding. Everything else is numb. Now that I'm only yards from the craft, I can see more details, even with the bright beam still shining. But with my eyes frozen, I can only see what's right in front of me. The lights keep flashing in a pattern. I realize they're not to be seen by other craft, but to work as an energy source. Up close, I see the spaceship is completely smooth. There are no screws, no pieces put together, no sharp edges. As I come within a few feet of the opening, I want to scream, but I can't. I'm frozen. Even my breathing is hard. I realize my captors are controlling both my movements and my breathing. The only relief is that once I cross inside, the blue beam gets dimmer so I can see better. The inside walls glow the same colors as the outside lights: white, purple, and green. They pulse with the same rhythm. And just like the outside, the inside has no screws or sharp edges. I imagine the ship was made from metal, like blowing a bubble from gum. Once I enter the craft, I hear a strange metallic clicking from the door closing behind me. A strange smell hits me. It's like curry, burnt plastic, and caramel mixed together. I float horizontally, facing the ceiling as if I'm on an invisible stretcher. 4 creatures float next to me. One leans over to look into my eyes. It's a gray alien. My heart beats even faster. I heard about grays from a friend who believes in supernatural things. She would talk about weird stuff she learned each week. I never thought she'd be right about alien abductions and grays. The one staring at me looks just like what people describe. It has big almond-shaped black eyes, a large head above a thin face with 2 small holes for a nose, a tiny slit for a mouth, and gray skin. It wears a tight silver suit on its skinny body. I feel the creature talking to me in my mind. It wants me to be calm. It says I'll be returned. It tells me I'm very important to them. They bring me to a metal table where I first float above it and then lower down. Somehow my clothes are gone in an instant. The grays gently turn me on my side. I can now see we're in a room a little bigger than my bedroom. I'm shocked to see a naked woman on a table next to me. 4 grays float next to her too. Her mouth is open like she's screaming, but there's no sound. Tears run down her face. To my horror, I see what's upsetting her so much. One of the grays is holding a baby that still has its umbilical cord. The nightmare I'm seeing is interrupted by a sharp pain in my spine. Now I break through my paralysis enough to open my mouth in a silent scream. Dear God, what is happening? I yell in my head as tears cover my face. Please make it stop. The cricket sounds, rustling, breathing, and footsteps suddenly return. I find myself walking past the halfway point to my home. I feel confused, like I've been sleepwalking the last half mile. I remind myself I'm not drunk and wonder if I'm having some kind of breakdown. Even the sky looks different. The moon and stars have moved a lot. What's even more alarming is that my phone says it's 4 a.m. I should be home by now, I tell myself as I walk faster. As I look up at the night sky again, I start crying for no clear reason.
Coming back from death feels strange in a way living people can't understand. The smell of dirt stays with you, even when you walk among the living again. My name is Henry, and I drowned in the summer of 1936 near Jacmel, Haiti. What happened next wasn't peaceful death, but a strange life I wouldn't wish on anyone. The day I died started like any other. It was very hot in Jacmel, making it hard to breathe. I took my sons, John and Louis, to the beach. I wasn't always a good father, and I felt bad about that. Their childhood was going by while I spent nights drinking with friends instead of being with my family. My wife, Jacqueline, was visiting family that day. She smiled when we left. My boys ran ahead to the shore, laughing as they went. At the beach, John swam through the waves while Louis played at the edge, still scared of the ocean. "Papa, watch this," John called, and I waved, smiling. But good moments never last long for me. I walked deeper into the water, forgetting I wasn't good at swimming. The current came fast and strong. It pulled my feet from under me as I tried to fight the water. I saw John's face change from happy to scared. I tried to tell him to stay back, but water filled my lungs. As everything went dark, I thought about how I had failed my family, Jacqueline, Jean, Louis. I had let them down in life, and now I was leaving them in death. I sank under the water and didn't come back up. But I didn't stay dead. I woke up on a dirty mattress in an old barn with men who had the same empty eyes as me. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't feel anything. I could only move, work, and obey. The man who controlled us didn't talk much. His eyes were old and knowing. We worked in sugarcane fields every day until our hands bled, but we couldn't stop. I didn't ask why. I couldn't. We cut cane from sunrise to sunset, moving like robots. Other workers, living workers, stayed away from us and made the sign of the cross when we walked by. At night, we sat still in the barn, not sleeping or waking, just existing. 3 years passed like this, 3 years of nothing. Then everything changed. The man in charge, the Bokor, as I later learned he was called, picked me out one evening. He took me to a small hut where candles made shadows on the walls. It smelled of herbs and blood. He did a special ritual that changed something inside me. He put salt on my tongue, made me drink something bitter, and said words that made my bones shake. As he worked, my mind came back. I remembered drowning. I remembered Jacqueline's smile. I remembered Jean's laugh and Louis' serious eyes. I remembered I was Henri Beaumont. When I remembered who I was free. The Bokor didn't stop me when I started to walk away. Something pulled me home, even though my body felt strange. I walked back to Jacmel mostly at night, staying away from people when I could. Those who knew me looked scared. Some ran away. Others made the sign of the cross. They couldn't understand what I barely understood myself. A man back from the grave, a zombie who got his mind back, but was forever changed. I got home on a Saturday, exactly 3 years after I drowned. Through the window, I saw my family eating dinner. Jacqueline, now with some gray hair, Jean, taller and more serious, and Louis, almost a man. When I knocked, Jean opened the door. His face changed from confused to shocked to happy. "Papa," he cried, tears running down his face as he hugged me. Jacqueline and Louis joined him, feeling many things at once: happy, shocked, worried, scared. "They found your body," Jacqueline whispered that night as we sat alone in the kitchen. "The fishermen brought you back to shore. We buried you." Her hands shook. "How is this possible, Henri?" I had no answer that wouldn't scare her more. I told her the fishermen must have found someone else who looked like me. I said the current had pulled me down the coast and I had lost my memory. I told her I had been working on a farm while my memory slowly came back. It wasn't true, but it was better than telling her what really happened. But I wasn't the same. The man who drowned never truly came back. The magic that brought me back had left something important behind. I could live with my family, but could never again be the father and husband they remembered. I tried. I went back to my old job. I ate dinner with my family. I went to church, though holy water burned my skin. But something was missing, the spark of real life. Nights were hard. While my family slept, I sat still, unable to sleep. The dead don't rest. We just pause. In those quiet hours, I would touch the walls where pictures once hung, where Jean had left a handprint after playing in mud, where Louis had marked his height each year. The people in town avoided me. They crossed the street when they saw me coming. Mothers pulled their children close when I walked by. I didn't blame them. They felt what I knew. I didn't belong in the world of the living. My family tried to get used to me. Jacqueline would put her hand on mine at dinner, but I could feel her jump at my cold skin. Only Jean seemed truly happy I was back. The Bokor, who had brought me back, visited me once after I returned home. "You were meant to come back," he said. "Some souls don't want to stay in the ground." "Why me?" I asked. "Why bring me back only to let me go?" He looked at me with wise eyes. "The ocean took you before your time. I just fixed what was wrong." He touched my forehead. "You will never be what you were, but you might become something new." Over the years, I've learned to act more like I'm alive, to blink, to move like living people do, to smile without looking scary. These small wins let me live with normal people without always reminding them I'm different. Jacqueline and I found a new kind of friendship, not passionate love, but something quieter, built on our history together. My sons have grown into men I'm proud of. Jean took my job at the shipping office. Louis married a girl who accepts her strange father-in-law without questions. If there's one good thing about being like this, it's that I've had time to make up for my mistakes. The man who drowned was distant and selfish. The man who came back can't feel joy like living people do. But I found purpose in being there for my family in ways I never was before. Maybe someday I'll find more answers. Until then, I'm still here, a shadow of who I once was, but somehow still writing new pages in a story that should have ended in the waters of Jacmel.
British Columbia, 1941. It was a beautiful September day. The sky was clear blue above our small home near Ruby Creek. The sun was bright but not too hot, making pretty shadows through the trees around our property. Our house wasn't fancy, just a simple wooden building with a woodshed out back where my husband George kept his tools and our winter supplies. George had gone to work on the railroad early that morning, like he did most days. I stayed home with our 3 children, my oldest boy who was 9, my middle son who was 7, and my daughter who was 5. I had tied ribbons in her hair that morning. The children were playing in the field behind our house while I made dinner, with the windows open to catch the nice breeze. Around 3 o'clock, my oldest son ran into the house. His face was red and his eyes were wide with fear. "Mama," he said, pointing toward the mountain, "there's a cow coming down from the woods." I wiped my hands on my apron and went outside to look. My other children were still playing near the railway tracks, not noticing what had scared their brother. At first, I didn't see anything unusual, just our small field leading to the forest that went up the mountainside. Then I saw something moving in the bushes where the woods met our cleared land. My son had called it a cow, but when I looked toward the forest, I thought it was a bear. We'd seen bears in the area before, but they usually stayed away. I called to my younger children right away, my voice sharper than normal. "Come here right now!" Quickly. As they ran toward me, the creature moved onto the railway tracks. What I saw made my blood run cold. This was not a bear. It was shaped like a person, a giant person, but covered in hair. Not fur like an animal, but hair about 4 inches long all over its body. The hair was a light yellowish-brown color. I stood my ground, even though I wanted to run. The creature was walking straight toward our house, toward us. I sent my oldest boy inside to get a blanket while I watched the approaching figure, with my arm out to protect my younger children, who huddled against me. "Hurry," I whispered, trying to keep my voice steady for them. The time waiting for the blanket felt endless. The creature came closer with each second, reaching the corner of the field about 100 feet from where we stood. I could see it clearly now. It was at least 7.5 feet tall, much taller than our fence posts. Its body was human-shaped, but with an extremely wide chest and arms that hung longer than any person's I'd ever seen. Its head seemed small for its huge body, sitting on shoulders so broad they looked like they could carry our woodshed. It didn't seem to have a neck. What I noticed most was its face. The hair was thinner there, showing skin that looked almost black, much darker than the hair covering the rest of it. Its hands were also dark and huge, swinging at its sides as it walked with a strange, rolling step. I couldn't tell if it was male or female. Finally, my son came back with the blanket. I took it and spread it wide, holding it up like a shield between the creature and my children. "Stay behind this," I told them firmly. "Don't look." I wasn't thinking about old stories that looking at such creatures brought bad luck. I was afraid it wanted one of my children. If it couldn't see them, maybe it would look somewhere else, like inside our empty house instead of following us. Holding the blanket up, I backed away slowly, guiding my scared children down the slope toward the river beach. Once we were out of sight, I stopped pretending to be calm. "Run," I told them, and we ran downstream toward the village, not looking back once. We found safety with friends in the village. Some people looked doubtful, others afraid. Most had heard stories of the wild men of the mountains, though like me, they'd never seen one before. George came home around 6 that evening. He found our house empty, the woodshed door broken in, and huge footprints in the soft ground all around our property. He followed our tracks to the river and came looking for us after seeing the damage. His face was very pale when he found us. He'd seen the evidence, not just the footprints, which showed a creature with human-shaped feet much bigger than his, but long brown hairs stuck in the doorway of the woodshed higher than he could reach. The creature had broken open our barrel of salted fish, scattering it around the yard. We went home that night, bringing my father and 2 other men for protection. George measured the height of the hairs caught in the woodshed doorway and confirmed what I had seen. The creature must have been at least 7.5 feet tall. For a week after that, the footprints came back each night. Twice our dog woke us at exactly 2 in the morning, barking wildly at something outside. The creature never tried to come into our home again, but we still felt its presence. One night, George heard it make a sound unlike anything we had ever heard before, a strange, gurgling whistle that seemed to carry through the darkness. I had heard the same sound during my encounter. We stayed for a week, but the fear never left us. Each twig snapping, each shadow at dusk, brought back the image of that huge figure walking toward our home. Finally, we couldn't take it anymore. We packed our things and left our home behind. People ask me now if I believe in the Sasquatch. I don't need to believe. I know what I saw. It wasn't a bear or any animal I know. It wasn't a person in a costume. No person could move like that, and no costume could look so real. Sometimes I wonder why it came to our home that day. Was it curious? Hungry? I like to think it was just a creature following its own path that crossed with ours before going back to the wilderness. But I can't forget the fear I felt. Not just being startled, but a deep fear of seeing something that shouldn't exist based on what I knew about the world. It walks in the trees beyond our fields, not fully animal or fully human. What I know is this: there are things in the deep woods that can't be explained. The wild men that my people have talked about for generations are real. I have seen one with my own eyes in broad daylight. The world is older and stranger than most people know.